There is a place in Elden Ring that holds a dark and sinister secret, even though initially you might not think too much of it. But you'll quickly notice something is off in this place, and staying or walking around here for longer than a few minutes will creep out anyone. It's because this place is simply just cursed. You might have visited this place yourself, but we're talking about Dominula, the windmill village. What is exactly happening here though? Why is everybody so happy and dancing? Why is nobody hostile to you or attacking you, even though all these celebrants definitely do not look like your friendly neighbor at all? And what's up with this village? Why does it give such a weird vibe? The reality is, you notice something is off the moment you walk into this place. The music gets creepy and the ambience sets the tone. You hear a bunch of laughing coming from the distance. You'll also see a shade right near the entrance that, when talked to, gives very distressing messages. Now, out of all things, why would someone beg to not get skinned and even try to deter you from doing such an absurd thing by saying that their skin is dirty? Well, this is probably not your regular festival. So let's move onwards and investigate this place. This place is like a hill. The more you move forwards, the higher you go. And you'll see all these ladies surrounding you that are just laughing, dancing, and even when standing right next to them, they don't do anything to you. Now, if you have played Elden Ring, then you know how aggressive every creature, animal, person, enemy, anything really is in this game. So these celebrants being not aggressive at all is definitely an unusual phenomenon that we should keep in mind. Things change, however, when you decide to be the aggressor. You immediately see that these ladies seem to snap out of their state and have a 180-degree shift in behavior, and most noteworthy, their eyes turns all red and bright. It is almost as if they're possessed by some supernatural force. In this new state, they are full on focused into killing you, and it seems they don't go back into their old state anytime soon, at least while you're around. What is also weird is that they seem to bite their own hand and spit their blood on you while they're trying to fight you. A very peculiar move that definitely no sane creature or person would ever do. Now, if you actually get hit by the bloodstream, then you will start building up poison. This type of attack is definitely unique and also very bizarre, and it makes you question what is really up with these weirdos. It gets even weirder because the weapons they wield and try to attack you with seem to have an eerie structure and consist out of a material I haven't really seen before in this game. I need to know more about these celebrants, but to really investigate these creatures I can't obviously do that while they're trying to murder me. Therefore I just flexed on them and killed all of them with only one of my powerful moves to give me the possibility to investigate their bodies, clothing and weapons in peace. And what I found next was shocking, to say the least. First of all, let's start with their clothing, because it did give me the least amount of clues and useful information about what is really going on here. But it definitely did give me some clues at least. Most of them wear the festive garb and festive hood. The descriptions of these clothing pieces are rather minimal. It, however, now becomes apparent that there is in fact a festival going on here, and that all of this isn't just random. There is an intention behind all of this. It also now becomes much more obvious that this festival is some kind of violent ritual, as indicated by the vital information piece in the description, saying that the clothing is faintly bloodstained. This hints at the fact that these dancers are more accustomed to violence, murder, death, and so forth than our initial meeting would have suggested. I can't really say that I'm surprised though. There is also an alternative version of their clothing pieces, a blue variation of the festive garb and hood. The only difference in the description seems to be the notion that these pieces are worn by dancers with a central role in the festival that seemingly are also the younger maidens. I'm not really sure how important this difference is. as the dancers in broad daylight seem to show that beneath the clothing they look pretty much identical, and the ones wearing blue definitely do not look any younger. It sounds like it is a bit of background information about the origins of the festival that takes or took place here, and in that regards nothing really that helps us out with unveiling the mystery of what is really going on here. It gets more peculiar, however, if you take a look at the weapons that they use. I discovered that these dancers in this place use a total of 4 different weapons: a cleaver, a sickle, a rib rake, and a skull weapon. Comparing the weapons shows that 3 out of 4 weapons have pretty much the same description. They are all made out of human bone. Now this definitely explains why these weapons looked so off when I was fighting these dancers. And then the celebrant's skull weapon is made out of bone that isn't from a human, but something larger than a human, as noted explicitly in the weapon's description. Now it isn't rocket science to conclude that there's something very sinister going on here, and that these dancers are much more twisted than what one initially would think. Exploring the area some more shows that there's also a dancer that is secluded from the group and is fixated on her weapon. I'm not really sure what she's doing, but it looks like she's making out with the weapon. At this point I can't say that anything surprises me anymore in this place. When you inspect the bodies of these dancers, you'll see that their skin definitely does not look like your average skin. When you look at their skin, however, or rather lack of skin, the possibility comes to mind that these dancers might have been skinned themselves. At the same time, from everything we have gathered so far, these dancers are also actively partaking place in this festival, or rather the skinning ritual that is taking place here. If you explore the surrounding areas related to the Windmill Village, this becomes especially obvious. You have the Windmill Village pasture, the East Windmill pasture, and the West Windmill pasture. Now in the Windmill Village pasture and the West Windmill pasture, there are not a lot of clues to be found. These places are mostly invested with rabid animals and are pretty much abandoned outside of that. However, in the East Windmill pasture there is a major clue to be found. Upon arriving at the place, you'll see a bonfire in the distance. The bonfire consists out of bodies shaped in a circular pattern, definitely reminding you of traditional ritual-esque practices, and at the same time celebrants surround the bonfire with their typical behavior of cheering and dancing. Adding everything up, it's pretty evident that these bodies have been sacrificed as part of a ritual, and if you investigate the bonfire close up, you'll also see that a noble or a person with some kind of royal lineage was sacrificed. My suspicions get confirmed when you inspect the noble's outfit. The descriptions make it very clear that the clothing is of very high quality, only fit to be worn by royalty in the lands between. So innocents and people of royalty are getting skinned and sacrificed in this village. But why? If you are not creeped out by these ladies and dare to keep moving in the village, then when you reach the top it all becomes clear. You'll see some of the celebrants praying or praising something in a certain direction. Are they really just worshipping the windmill? We have seen very strange behavior before, but that one would take the cake. No, what's really happening here is that they are worshipping a sinister presence in this place in that direction. The Godskin Apostle. This Godskin Apostle is just one of the many Godskins that appear in the lands between. The Godskins are known for skinning their enemies and wearing it as their own clothing as part of their beliefs of their Black Flame cult, but also to intimidate their enemies. It becomes obvious that the ladies here are under some kind of influence of this Godskin. And if you kill the Apostle and inspect his weapon, you'll see that this weapon is called the Godskin Peeler. A peeler that is obviously used to skin people, and that pretty much seals the deal, right? It's also known that the Godskins hunt for the gods and anything that might have some sort of divine lineage, which might explain why we saw the noble in the bonfire. The ladies dancing here and seemingly being under some kind of curse or brainwashed state now also makes sense, and it's not even a rare type of behavior really, because this phenomenon actually happened in real life many times even, and all of it in the Middle Ages. It's called dancing mania or a dancing plague, and the biggest and most known example is the dancing plague of 1518 in Strasbourg in what's today known as France. Hundreds of people danced for months uncontrollably as if they were possessed, doing all kinds of weird things in the process as well, and they kept dancing without any real breaks. Many of them eventually just died and thus literally danced to their death, and there are various theories to why such a dancing plague actually took place. Nobody knows for sure, but the most probable theory seems to be that it was a stress-induced psychosis on a mass level, due to the region being riddled with starvation and disease and the dancers being superstitious. Anyways, that does explain a lot, but not to deviate too much, it's more than likely that the windmill village in Elden Ring was modeled after this real life event. And now it just all makes sense. The Godskins have these ladies completely under their control. It could either be through their magic, because they possess the ability to cast black flame magic, or because the Godskins literally just brainwash them as they are their own cult. Either way, the dancers are under their control and their brains have been completely fried, which explains why we saw all kinds of abnormal behavior, and most importantly why these horrific skinning rituals are taking place here. The whole dancing and cheering thing is probably also an easy way to lure innocent and royal people into thinking that this is just a nice festival that you definitely should visit if you're in the area. Nothing is going on here, it's just fun, let's take a look. But it couldn't possibly be any further away from the truth. Innocents and royalty have been sacrificed in this village, and their skin has been peeled off to please the Godskins. And their bones were also used because they were turned into weapons that the celebrants use in case someone tries to fight back. And why out of all places right here in the windmill village? Well, most likely because it's right next to the capital, also known as Leyndell Royal Capital, a place close to the Earthrealm and a place that attracts royalty, nobles, innocents, people with high status or connections to the gods, and thus many useful victims to be skinned. And it is something that the Shade warned us about right at the very start, even saying that his skin is dirty to make you believe that he's not related to the gods in any shape or form and does not have a high or noble status whatsoever. This place is evil.